Welcome everyone to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Wednesday, May 5th. I'm Neil Maximilian, your chair. I'd ask first for my fellow members to identify themselves per the state rules.
Ed Lane, present.
Dave Roach, present.
Oh, Maureen Dory Corcoran.
Joe Corcoran.
Mary Beth Mitz, present.
Yeah, just to clarify, we as a select board members are required to do that as of about 6 months ago. All you other folks, thank you, but
Sorry.
you don't have to. No, don't say sorry. Nothing wrong at all.
Mr. Chair, I believe Mr. Archie has entered the meeting room. Is that you, Warren?
I think,
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Finally. Yep.
Warren, could you just say your name before we get moving, as we're required to do that?
Warren Archie.
Thank you, sir. Welcome. In terms of announcements, this isn't really an announcement, but I think it's important to all folks out there, if you are listening, that we vote on the 10th. And there are plenty of things to vote on. I know there's not anything national to think about, but still, this is our town. There's a lot of town leadership that's in flux, or I should say possibly changing. And this is your time to be heard. When you think about town issues and you want to think about who represents you, May 10th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Town Hall. It'll be a fully COVID-safe environment. You need not worry about that, and plenty of folks to help you. So I'd encourage people to please get out and be heard by voting. With that, let's move on to the minutes. Do you have a motion, Ed?
Yes, I do. I move to approve the minutes from the April 21st, 2021 meeting of the Board of the Select Board.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, thank you, folks. We have a citizens open forum time. If there's anyone in the audience that's here to speak on anything at all, now is a welcome time. I know folks are here for other reasons, hearings and whatnot, but if there's anybody that has something that they want to share now, please feel welcome.
Folks could indicate by raising their hands or otherwise indicating that you want to speak. I don't see any hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Yes, neither do I. So I'll presume everyone here is here for items later on in the agenda. Let me read the consent agenda to you. We are here with in front of us a one-day all alcohol license request from Edith Wharton. Edith Wharton is seeking 9 one-day all alcohol licenses at the stables between June and October 2021. They're as follows: June 19, 5 to midnight, July 3rd, 4:30 to midnight, July 17, 5 to midnight, August 7, 5 to midnight, August 21st, 5 to midnight, September 4th, 5 to midnight, September 25th, 5 to midnight, October 2nd, 5 to 1 a.m., October 17th, 5 to midnight. All paperwork is in order and certified bartenders will be present.
Could I put a hold on that, Mr. Chair?
You certainly will, Ed. I was going to do that. Thank you for that. Next on the list is an inn-holder's license request from the Corcoran Lodging doing business as the Brook Farm Inn. Brook Farm Inn is seeking an inn-holder's license for the property located at 15 Hawthorne Street. Next on the agenda is a donation acceptance. Chief O'Brien is seeking your approval of 2 monetary donations. I'm sorry, I should have specified Fire Chief O'Brien is seeking your approval of 2 monetary donations. And finally, on the consent is a transfer of funds. We are seeking permission to transfer $40,508.22 under Mass General Law, Chapter 42, Section 33B, from our snow and ice account into our capital account. If anyone happens to read an agenda that says highway, Chris can help me here, but it probably shouldn't say highway. It should just be capital account.
Yeah,
Would you- is that correct, Chris?
yes, that's, actually, we should probably hold on this and take it up separately, just so that I can explain and we can vote it properly.
That's appropriate.
It's an oversight on my part. I apologize.
No apologies necessary, but I do think we should discuss.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, or the two items on the consent agenda that weren't on hold. The in-holders license and a donation acceptance.
Can I address the
Second.
Brook Farm Inn request?
Let's take that in order, please. We have a hold on the Edith Wharton, which is before that in the agenda, so we'll discuss that as a board. And then when we get to Brook Farm, if you may, if you like, you certainly may feel free to comment.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, why don't we'll just do them one at a time as we go along, the consent
Yes.
items. So it's okay with you. So,
Feel free to lead off, Ed.
okay, thank you. So the first one that actually I put a hold on is Edith Wharton. This is something a little bit unusual. We're not used to approving 9 one-day permits all at one time for actually pretty darn big events. We've had some feedback from neighbors as to what the times are. And I know we did this a couple years ago. We talked about times for Edith Wharton, and we were gonna kind of set some more better policy in this area for one-day permits. And for whatever reasons, it hasn't happened. We haven't had that discussion yet as a board, and we obviously need to do that. But so this brings it up right here that the ending time, the amount of the number of them, the days of the week, I think one's on a Sunday actually. So I just have some, we're kind of in a residential neighborhood there. I know we have Seven Hills next door, but it basically is a residential neighborhood, and sound travels, and we've had issues with neighbors previous years with sound. So I'm just throwing it out there for discussion, that I think it's something we need to think about a little bit.
And I appreciate you raising that. As I look at this, I had the same instinct. We are midnight across the board, except for one event, which goes to 1 a.m. And I think, although we don't have clear guidance, or we have nothing that we've made conclusive about a finishing time for establishments, there has been concern in the past about closing events this late. And I think it warrants our discussion, and possibly I'd seek your thoughts on this, fellow board members, but I, for one, would like maybe to hear from the applicant, what their reasons are, and see if there's any wiggle room before we make a decision on this.
So
Thoughts
if I
on
could,
that?
I was going to say, if I could make a suggestion, we are slated to have a working meeting next week. So perhaps the board might be inclined to approve the June 19th license. So you might approve one license, just because the date is somewhat pressing. It's about a month and a half away. But then have a broader policy discussion at your working meeting next week. Does that make any sense?
That's a fantastic idea.
Makes sense to me.
I'm still a bit hung up on the 12 o'clock part of it, but
Fair enough,
I
right?
know, I know where you're coming from, Chris. I get it. You know,
Yeah.
business is business and they gotta, they probably made promises and everything already.
I think Chris's suggestion's a good balance. I'm uncomfortable establishing precedent by blanket approving the whole season at midnight and 1 a.m. But I also don't want to be unfriendly to business and pull the rug out on an event that's probably quite planned. So personally, I'm comfortable approving June 19 and leaving the rest of the events subject to our discussion about a policy.
Warren agrees.
Thank you, Warren.
Okay, so should I
I'm
make a motion to just
sure.
accept what's the date? June 19th, 1-day permit?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Mary Beth, did you have something to add first?
Well, I was just gonna say that, 5 p.m. to midnight, that's 7 hours of an open bar or a bar that's serving alcohol. And to me, it's kind of like going to a baseball game, there's the 7th inning stretch and you can stand up and go get your last beer and then they close the bar down. So for the 8th and 9th inning, you're good. So to me, if you're going to have a wedding that starts at 5, you have plenty of time to have a really nice evening up until 11 o'clock. That gives you 6 hours to have a really nice time. So I would almost not go to 12 o'clock with a group of people that are, they're, for sure they're on the property, but there may be people traveling locally to the wedding, and I don't know when the wedding ends, but to me, 6 hours is enough. But that's just me.
Well, no, your comments are appreciated. I think that's the type of discussion that we're going to have. It's clear to me there's not any sentiment to approve the whole summer at this stage, subject to us having an opportunity to discuss it, because we really haven't, as a board. Ed is correct. It was talked about a couple of years ago, and it's on us. We didn't really make a policy. So I think we owe it to our businesses to have a more clear policy, and that's why I think we should just make the policy here and now and have an opportunity to discuss it.
Okay. Okay, that's just my
But
thought.
thank you.
Sure.
Yes. So I guess you're all set. I believe you have a motion and a second. So I'll ask if all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay. Well, we're 4-1 on what I understand to be approval of June 19 and hold on the rest until further discussion. Correct, Chris?
That's what I have. Yes.
Okay. We're next to Corcoran Lodging doing business as Brook Farm Inn, and we have a member of the audience, the virtual audience, that wishes to speak on that. I would first give our applicants an opportunity if they had anything they wanted to present, or are you just here to field questions?
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm Steve Neri. I'm their attorney from Donovan, O'Connor,
Okay.
and Kovic. And I just wanted to say I was here, and I strongly support this, obviously. And I think it's great that we're getting back to some of the tourist industry. So I'll turn it over to Maureen and Joe Corcoran.
Thank you. Yes. So I'm Maureen. This is my husband, Joe, and we have taken over the Brook Farm Inn as of April 1st. And we're applying for the license. Basically, we would like to offer our guests an enhancement. We are not looking to have parties or anything of the sort, but we currently have a package that offers flowers and chocolates. We'd like to add a bottle of Prosecco with that for guests to be enjoyed in their room. We'd also like to offer guests a glass of wine or a signature cocktail to be enjoyed, probably predominantly outdoors or in the dining room, because right now it's socially spaced. Our request would be from, well, I said 12 noon to 9 p.m. However, I'm imagining it'd really be maybe a glass of wine or something before Tanglewood or after, or something of that sort, or after a dinner. We're really respectful of the neighbors. It's a very kind of relaxed atmosphere with guests who obviously want to have a good night's sleep and enjoy hiking and all kinds of different things. But we would, on the same token, like to be, we'd like to offer that rather than they're going to bring it themselves. And being in business, we would like, to be able to offer that. We think it would help keep us in line with gateways, and other places like that. I had initially also thought that perhaps with our farm to table breakfast, we could offer, obviously we were offering coffee, but we could have a Bloody Mary or something of the sort. We do have a few, we would not be doing any special events in the summer, but we do have, for example, in September, a couple who is getting married at the Mount. They have booked the inn for the weekend and they would like to have a welcome party, and we would like to be able to offer alcoholic beverages at that point, as opposed to, a caterer comes in and does that sort of thing. So that's pretty much the gist of what we're looking for. I gave some information on our seating. Again, nothing late or anything like that, and not anyone outside, just the guests who are there to enjoy our property. Thank you.
So Mr.
Thank you
Chairman,
for
can I
that.
add something? Can I add something to that, Mr.
Please
Chairman?
do, David.
Okay, first of all, what we're looking at in this first item under the consent agenda is an in-holder's license. The liquor license comes next.
Oh, I apologize.
No, Maureen, it's okay, all right?
Thank you.
I will add that I've known the applicants for over 20 years, and they're really good people, and they're welcome to Lenox, believe me.
Thanks,
So
Dave.
let's get this in-holder's license out of the way, and then we can talk about the alcohol, right?
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll
You
make,
are correct, David. Go ahead, please.
I was going to make a motion, if that's okay.
Yes.
I was going to make a motion to approve the in-holder's license request for Corcoran Lodging doing business as Brook Farm Inn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Ed, I'll leave it up to you.
Well, the next one is a transfer of funds. We put a hold on that. And so I'd like to
Yep.
turn it over to
Wait a minute. What happened to the liquor license?
We're gonna get
We're
to it.
not there yet, sir.
Okay, okay.
To clarify, what we just discussed was simply them having an in-holders license.
Okay, thank you.
Later on in the proceedings, we'll get to your concern.
Thank you.
Yes, I thank you, Ed. I think it's appropriate, given the dollar amounts that Chris explained, the transfer. I think you and I are obviously up to speed on it, but I think it's deserving of discussion.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, so what's
course.
before the board is what we would call under municipal finance law an end of year transfer request between line items. The Municipal Modernization Act affords the board an opportunity, along with concurrence of the Finance Committee, to transfer between line items within a small percentage of the operating budget in order to cover unforeseen events. And in this case, the additional work that was required for hazardous mitigation of asbestos at the middle high school. The school got about 90% of the way there on their own. However, there is an additional amount of a little over $40,000 that's needed to cover the costs of getting the school up and running in such a short time frame from when the problem was identified. So what this transfer would do would be to allow our savings a portion of our savings in snow and ice, which is up over $60,000 this year, to be transferred to a town building account to cover the the work of Ecogenesis, which is the firm that led the charge in making sure that the hazardous materials were properly managed, and a plan was developed to properly handle that so that school could be open safely and on time per the governor's orders. So it's a transfer request. I apologize. The agenda says highway capital. That should be town building capital. But it's a transfer of $40,508.22 from the snow and ice account to the town building capital account.
Thank you, Chris. That's a good explanation. Perhaps you could confirm, we're not talking about an increase in town spending. We're transferring money that was unspent to cover what I would like to acknowledge is a pretty heroic effort on the part of school administrators, Ecogenesis and Gem Environmental. We do not predict issues to happen like this, and but we have to respond once something like an asbestos discovery is made. You cannot ignore it. The state was ready and available to help us in terms of determining what we had to do so that it was safe for children, and we were able to accomplish it with a lot of overtime and a lot of straight days for the custodial staff at school. I don't know, probably 10 days that they worked straight and overtime to make sure that school opened on time per the state and governor's orders to reopen to in-person class. And we accomplished that. It took a lot of effort. So number one, Chris, I appreciate your explanation, and I wanted to throw in thanks to all the folks that made it possible.
Okay, Mr. Chair, so I'll make a motion that we transfer $40,508.22 under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B, from the snow and ice account into the town building capital account.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So we're moving on to general business. I will read what's before me, and then Ed, I assume you will make a motion to open a hearing, correct?
You want me to read the public hearing first?
Oh, yes, please do.
Okay, so notice is hereby given that a hearing will be held by the Select Board in their capacity as licensing board on an application for a new annual all alcoholic hotel license, which has been filed with the local licensing board by Corcoran Lodging LLC, doing business as the Brook Farm Inn. Maureen Dory Corcoran, manager for premises located at 15 Hawthorne Street, Lenox, and consisting of 2 buildings. The main house has 12 guest rooms, is approximately 4,700 square feet. Guest rooms are 1 is located on the first floor, 6 on the second floor, and 5 on the third floor. The first floor has a living room, library, and dining room. There's a carriage house with 3 guest suites, 2 accessible and are on the first floor. There's a deck and an outdoor space with 10 tables and chairs. The board will act on said application May 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Auditorium or via Zoom. Neil Maximilian, Chairman, Lenox Select Board.
Thank you, Ed.
So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we are in the hearing. I would ask people to respect and not crosstalk. It looks like we have a very civil group, and I'll say that, sir and ma'am, now is your time to share your feelings or your concerns.
Thank you. Good evening, folks. We are Jerry and Sherry Lublin. We live at 11 Hawthorne Street, directly next door to the Brook Farm Inn, and we're on 2 sides of them. We've been there over 20 years. We've always had a good relationship with the owners there. In fact, when the prior owners wanted to add on the carriage house, which is pretty close to us, we came and spoke forcefully in favor of them getting that license. I'm not sure we're opposed to these people getting a liquor license. In fact, we'd like to welcome them to the neighborhood and wish them every success in running the inn.
Thank
We
you.
do have, you're welcome. We do have some questions as to the hours that they'll be serving alcohol and whether if the permit is granted to them, it travels with the next owner or if it's unique just to them.
So I'll let Maureen address the hours, or how do you want to do that?
Oh, that's fine. I just didn't want to, I'm happy to talk. So what we would like to do is we would like to have the hours be no later than 9 p.m. I said 12 to 9 p.m. I'm not really imagining, there could be a glass of wine or a glass of champagne in there, but I would think it would predominantly maybe be in the afternoon. But having said that, I wish I hadn't said at 12, because I kind of wouldn't mind when we're serving breakfast in the morning that we could offer, it's a complimentary farm to table breakfast, perhaps a Bloody Mary or a glass of Prosecco. I would, though, like to, not in July and August, but for example, the September, have an occasional 10 p.m. granting of a special event where, the 32 guests that have rented the inn for the weekend that want to have a welcome party. In that particular case, I was hoping for a special event to request until 10 p.m. I would never want it to be past 9 if someone wasn't renting out the whole inn. Well, one, to be respectful of both of you as neighbors, and then also because there are other guests, and generally speaking, people are there to enjoy the day and then get a good night's sleep and start all over again. So that's our general intention. It's not to do anything. I don't believe it would be anything different than what Phil and Linda have been doing, because the guests are eating breakfast. Obviously, I think they may be eating breakfast a little more outside this year due to COVID, and potentially enjoying a glass of wine outdoors or something of the sort. But that's the general gist of what we're looking for. And
We're not renting.
yeah, we're not renting the space out, and we're also planning to be there for a long time. So I can't speak to whether a license transfers, but maybe the board, could speak to that.
This is Steve. Can I say something?
You may, and then I'd like to hear from Chris as well.
Oh, sure. The license is issued to the Corcoran Lodging. It doesn't transfer without a hearing. There would have to be a separate hearing on the license. I assume they mean transfer to a third party at the location. But that would have to go for hearing as to who the parties are. So it's a license just to Corcoran Lodging, DBA Brook Farm Inn, with Maureen and Joe as the primary owners. And then if there ever anyone wanted to change that, there'd have to be another hearing. So I don't want to give legal advice to anyone, but the process, I'm just trying to explain the process the way I understand it.
Thanks, Steve.
May I, as a corollary to that, ask a question? This is Sherry Lublin here. Can you,
Please go. Yep.
pardon me?
I was saying yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. It's hard on Zoom. Am I assuming that a liquor license means that you are open to the public?
No, we're not planning on being open to the public.
But isn't that a part of the license?
That's not what we requested, but I'm not sure how that works as far as that goes. We're planning on, we would like to be able to offer it to our guests who are staying. That is our intention.
I understand that, but if your guests bring some more of the wedding party who are staying elsewhere, does that mean that they are entitled to have the same offerings and services that your guests are? And as a corollary to that, if you are serving until 9 o'clock, is there any reason why guests can't stay out on the porches and around the pool till any hour that they so choose?
Well, our pool will be closed at 9 p.m. I know when we spoke on the phone, you and I kind of talked about that, and Joe and I had a further chance to speak about that, and we just feel 9 is appropriate, again, because generally speaking, there are other guests, and we don't want to scare away guests who might want to go to bed at 9 p.m. I mean, if someone were out there till 9:15, I'm sure that could have maybe like a 15, if someone was served a drink at 9, I'm not going to say, please go into your room immediately. But I think by stopping, at 9, certainly get a guest. I'm not sure how it was with Phil and Linda. They could be outside, but I just don't think generally, at least, well, maybe now because the weather's cooler. I don't know if you've experienced that with Phil and Linda when they were at the Brook Farm Inn. This is new to us. So I know that guests would like to be outside a little bit more due to COVID, but what we find, at least so far, since it's really exciting, since we've had guests in April, generally speaking, when they come back, they might hang out a little bit, but not for very much because of COVID. And then they're kind of headed up to their room. I would imagine this summer they would hang out a little more. I know that I probably would, with the weather being a little bit later, but our intention is to be servicing our guests who are staying. Yes, if we had a special event and it was for 40 people instead of 32, that would be an additional 8 people. We're not looking for anything else than that. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman. I
Oh,
have a-
okay, so I just want to keep us in order. There's several that wish to speak. I just, thanks to David and Mary Beth. Chris, earlier, were you intending to say something or did I miss?
I believe Attorney Neri beat me to the punch. I was gonna
All
just
right, so you're
elaborate what he
set.
was saying about the transfer. Yes.
Okay, why don't we start with David and then we'll go to Mary Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out the fact that there's some advantages to having a liquor license as opposed to not having one. The advantages are, first of all, you can supervise the alcohol consumption of the guests. Every guest that visits a B&B, whether they have a license or not, or especially if they don't, is entitled to bring their own booze to the establishment. But if they have a liquor license, then the owner is responsible for maintaining order, let's say, or watching, keeping an eye on the folks who are buying guests. I'm sure that whoever's serving them is going to be tips trained. So I think it's an advantage to having the liquor license. Now, I know there is the issue about a liquor license being open to the public, but I could take everybody who's on this Zoom meeting on a tour of Lenox, and we can go to some of the places that have liquor licenses, and we would be told that it's for their guests only, although legally, I'm not sure that's true. So I would think that most people wouldn't say, let's stop into a B&B and have a drink. That's mostly just for their guests, and they should be able to supervise it and keep control of it. So I'm definitely in favor of granting a liquor license specifically for those reasons. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dave, if I could just say, by law, anyone who has a liquor license does have to be open to the public. I mean, you're right that people wouldn't go to a B&B for a drink, but you cannot turn them away.
Well, I've been to some locally with friends that we were turned away, but we didn't make an issue of it. I can take you to some of our, well, maybe that's a topic for another discussion, but if we're issuing licenses and there's one large facility in town where they do have a license, we could not get a drink. But that's subject for another discussion. But thanks, Mary Ellen. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Thank you, David. Mary Beth, please.
Can I ask the Corcorans, do you have a screened in area outside where people would be enjoying this? Do you have a screened in porch?
No, there is not a screened in porch. The deck is on the opposite side of the neighbors who are here, but that just seats a couple of tables. So it's really more just a little bit on the lawn space. There's a garden and a pool. There's a driveway when you pull in, and the residence is to the left, and then this is to the right by the pool and the garden area, which is where our tables are.
And you're in a pretty heavily wooded area, that's correct?
On that side of the property, yeah.
I mean, I'm just speaking from my experience living in Lenox, and we have a backyard that's pretty heavily wooded that we've managed to cut down, a number of trees in our backyard. But by the time dusk hits, the mosquitoes are eating all of us alive, and we go in immediately. I mean, I love to sit out on my back deck, and we have a fire pit, And it's great to have a cocktail outside, but when the bugs descend,
Yeah.
we can go indoors.
Yeah, and I think this year, because, there are some nice rooms with ample space in the main house for, couples or, a few people to hang out. But I think we're just frowning away from that this year anyway with COVID. So I'm imagining they would just come in and then go to bed. I mean, it's not a real lively, I'm not saying we're not lively people, but it's
Right.
kind of a laid back, I don't know. I just think you get a little bit of a relaxed clientele with a bed and breakfast. It's not, I don't know. It's not a partying
Yeah.
type of an atmosphere. But that's a good point about
Okay.
mosquitoes.
The bugs. So,
Okay. Mary Beth, are you set?
yes, I'm
For
good.
now?
Thank
Okay, Ed wishes to speak. Ed?
Yeah, I just want to say, it sounds, the way you laid it out here, it sounds absolutely beautiful. And it's, just a great idea, and it would like make your business better. And it sounds very low key. One thing we have to remember, you are in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
And to Sherry's point, I want to say that if something, what you laid out, you're going to do, okay, that's great. If something changes next year or year after, where all of a sudden it's a lot of noise, it's a lot of this, a lot of that, people like the Lublins have to remember that we're the licensing authority. And if there's problems, the neighborhood sees there are problems, then we can call you in and
Of
deal
course.
with it. So, Mr. and Mrs. Lublin, there's oversight is what I'm trying to say to you. I think it's a fantastic idea, but we don't just do it here and it's done forever. We still have oversight on it. So I just want you to.
May I ask?
Could we,
Yeah.
I'll get to you. Yes, I'm not going to ignore you. I'm just trying to look at the screen and make sure I'm doing this in order as best possible. Please go ahead.
Okay, we're not trying to be obstructionist neighbors. And I'm not even sure how much we're going to be able to be there this summer. We have some health issues of our own to be dealing with. But we want to we're here to do due diligence and to let the Corcorans know we are your closest neighbors. We are not only right next to your driveway, we are right next to those 3 guest rooms in the back. And any noise or any disruption affects us as much as it affects you. And we just would like you to keep that in mind. We want to encourage you and hope that you have a very healthy and successful business. We would love to see the in-drive. But we do need to voice our interests and our concerns. That's all.
Understood.
That is appreciated.
We hope to meet you this summer.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I hope you make it out here. And certainly we want to be great neighbors and really respectful. And I understand that completely.
Okay, just hear our concerns and that's it. Good luck. Thank you all.
Thank you.
This feels very in keeping with our Lenox spirit. I love the community aspect of this cooperation. I think we're ready to move on.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve the all alcohol hotel license application of Corcoran Lodging LLC, doing business as the Brook Farm Inn, located at 15 Hawthorne Street, dated April 15, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for all the productive discussion. We are to the dining request for Alta.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, in your packet, there was a outdoor dining license application from Alta Restaurant. Per the guidance that we issued last year at the outset of COVID, and then the guidance that was further modified at your last meeting. Alta is the first to apply under that new scenario. They've provided their insurance certificates as well as a seating layout that, in my estimation, in every way conforms to the board's new policy, including 4-foot walkway width as well as 4-foot distance from the curb at every location where there would be dining activity present on Church Street. So the
Thank you,
application.
Chris.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. If there's more to say, please do. I thought you were concluded there.
I mean, I'm just gonna verbalize what's on the diagram. There's five tables, one arranged as a 6-top. So four tables, if you look at it that way. Again, with ample distance from the curb and ample ADA accessible walkway along the sidewalk per your amended guidance.
Thank you, Chris. I think you're up, Ed.
Right, this, I mean, great application. This could prove to be the template for anybody else that wants to do outdoor dining in town. It's, I wholeheartedly agree with it and think it's everything well thought out.
I would agree, Ed. It's rewarding, I guess, to see that we modified the outdoor dining for the season, and the application is reflecting that.
It's nice to see that they've got these outdoor planters also there to kind of create another barrier from the public that may be on the sidewalk. It's very attractive.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the outdoor dining plan for Alta located at 36 Church Street as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And with appreciation to our very good neighbors at Alta for a very thoughtful application that reflects what we've modified. We are now to the Chamber of Commerce. I see Jen. Jen, are you interested in preparing? I assume that you're interested in giving some kind of presentation and or discuss your request?
Just a quick update, really. Just in keeping with, our last discussion of, keeping the select board really involved and communicating. Dave and I have met a couple of times since our last meeting. So I've discussed all of these with him, and Mary Beth and I have met a couple of times as well. So I just wanted to bring everybody else up to speed. We have our banner project is that's in collaboration with the Lenox Cultural District. They're pretty much funding that that project. There are going to be 24 banners on lampposts throughout town. Mary Beth and I did a sort of a site survey, figuring out how many are going to be where. Probably going to have about 10 on the full length of Church Street, 8 on Walker, and then the remaining, what is that, 6? On Housatonic and Franklin Street. So they're going to be on the antique lamppost. They're going to be on the inside of the lamppost, so they'll be over the sidewalk. They're going to be 18 inches wide and about 27 inches tall. I've had Larkin Graphics, Larkin Limited come out. They did the ones in Great Barrington, so they've also come out and said everything is fine. It's going to have correct clearance. He was actually the one that said they have to go on the inside over the sidewalk or trucks will hit them. And I attached a template of what the banners are going to look like. basically they're going to, each one is going to highlight a different cultural event. So it'll be a different, the surrounding part will all be the same, the color scheme, but the picture will be different. And so like if we get something from Shakespeare & Co. where it says Lenox Art Walks, it'll say Shakespeare & Company, you know, and same thing for the mount. And so just wanted to share that with everyone. Any feedback, any questions, anything? Anything from regarding that? Nope. Okay.
We'll let
Going
you
on.
continue.
Thank you. Farmers Market, our start date is Friday, May 28th. It'll start from 1 to 5. It is, we are going strong with our vendor sign up. It'll be on Housatonic Street where we started. And if we get, you know, more than 12 vendors, we're going to be expanding back to either the Scoop parking lot or to the 67 Church parking lot. To we're going to have live music on to accompany the farmers market. That's going to be further down Church Street. That was a request from some of our members, you know, further down Church Street to drive some traffic down there. That's just going to be like an acoustic guitar player or a violinist or someone, you know, just very low key. And we're just trying to figure out the spot where they're going to be in this 67 Church parking lot. That's the parking lot that Raba uses and McKimiko is, and so that's on the go. Spring Art Walk, I can't believe it's a month away right now, but we have about 25 artists signed up, but they're applying every day. We hope to have about 40 when all is said and done. We're not going to be in Roche Park this year for this one because the library has a function on Sunday, or we might just put Saturday vendors there. But I think we're going to be using Lilac Park. I mean, we are definitely using Lilac Park. I already put in a request for that, but we just thought it would be really cool to have, you know, 10 artists in Lilac Park. You know, nothing's going to be packed. It's going to be, I mean, 40, we had 38 artists last time. So if we have 40 this time, you know, it's about the same size as we had in the fall. We're adding a specialty food section. So, you know, people that have fancy foods can come and sell their foods. So that's what I have for the art walk. That happens on Saturday, 10 to 4. No, I'm sorry, 11 to 4, and on Sunday, 11 to 3. And setup will begin on Friday, but it, you know, it's very, because we set up in the parking lots and sort of, it doesn't really hinder any traffic or, you know, really stress the town for the setup. Then moving on to Lenox Loves Music, that's beginning Sunday, May 16th. That's 3:30, starting at 3:30 on Sundays. It goes for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's going to be on the dining terrace on Church Street. I have a press release for that going out tomorrow. Again, we will be maintaining all COVID restrictions there. So, oh, and this is the other thing with the farmers market too, that we've sort of been debating. So Massachusetts has lifted wearing masks outside. But I think, well, we're still going to require masks at any one of the events just because they're enclosed and they're, you know, just because sometimes you can't, you're not going to be able to socially distance, even though we'll still be keeping count of the attendees at each event. And we'll keep that until August 1st when, you know, the restrictions really are let down and we'll just see how it's going. You know, we didn't have any problems last year asking people to wear masks. I don't know how it's going to be this year. I was just in Boston this week actually, and people were still wearing masks all over the place. So I think that it's going to take a while for people to get used to not wearing masks, especially outside, and before they, you know, start making a stink about it. So that is ongoing projects that you would have been aware of. I just wanted to give you an update on them. The new project that I'm proposing, which I did mention a little bit before, but I'll talk about it again. We've been trying to put together a scavenger hunt in town, but also with these itineraries and, walks throughout town, and just, we wanted to find a way to put it all together. Mary Beth found this app that is able to do all of this. I'm going to let her speak to the more details about it, but it's really easy to use. We can give a flow code, like how people have been doing for restaurants, and how we had flow codes for our guide and some of the other things. And then we're going to have multiple tours on this. So it'll be the ghost tour, a historical tour. We're actually lifting from the Historical Society, which Dave had clued me in because they had something. So we're going to, incorporate theirs into ours. We're going to have the trails, the walking trails. It's going to take a while to build it up to what we want to be, but we found this application that's able to fit all of these needs. And we're very excited about it. The cost is $42.90. There's just a couple of changes to what I put up there. Sorry. The cost is $42.90. The setup fee is $1,995. The annual license fee is $22.95. The Lenox Cultural District is providing $3,000. And so we're asking for $1,290 from the discretionary fund to support, to make up the difference that we're short. So did I miss anything, Mary Beth, about?
You nailed it. Yeah, just basically that, we had budgeted $3,000 for an app. We found this particular app that seems to be able to support, many different, up to 10 different tours or different focus areas in town. So we're hoping to highlight natural resources and all the natural trails in Lenox. We're going to highlight all the cultural aspects, Shakespeare and Company, the Mount. We could do even a cottages tour and load that in. The Mount has a tour that they're going to be mounting, no pun intended. To talk about, their property and, bring up certain things when you're at the Mount's property. We'll be able to target, all the different churches in town and highlight, the things that go on there. There's a historian, or I'm sorry, there's an author that's written a book about some of the gravestones at Church on the Hill. And so we're hoping to do like a scavenger hunt, a spooky ghost story kind of thing, ghost tour. And there's also a geocache tour that I have found out that someone has put together in town that we could load into this, that will take you to different spots in town where you can actually, locate a geocache that's already out there, but just not really well publicized.
Right.
So we can do up to 10 of these, and it's we're going to be loading in all of these tours over the next 60 days, and try to kick it off this summer and then refresh it, as we can, season by season.
Chris, please.
If I could ask Ms. Mitz, the name of the app, unless we're not ready to announce that yet.
The name of the company, the vendor that we're dealing with is Story, STQRY. I don't know if that's actually, what you'll go to,
Okay.
in the Apple store or the Google store to get the app.
You read my mind. Yeah.
So we will be pushing that out as soon as I know exactly what that's called. But right now we're just dealing with the back end admin work, trying to get people slated in different parts of, town to help us load all this information in. and then I will announce that. And I'm sure that Jen will push it out. The libraries.
I mean, I'd love it to be, hashtag Lenox Love. So, this just keeping with our branding, obviously we want our own branding and that's part of it. But like Mary Beth has been looking for something for 6 months at least, if not more. And again, I mean, you kind of really got into the budget that we were thinking 3,000, it's just the setup fee, that's 1995. And that's kind of pretty standard, I think, for getting something that's this elaborate, but it's elaborate on the back end. It's not elaborate to you. It's very user friendly. So we're excited about it. And we hope that the select board sees the value that this will bring in to the town for resident. I mean, we can set up stuff for the schools also. I mean, I have something right now that I'm setting up with the art teacher at school. And so, we can keep a couple of them separate or, rotating so that it's different ideas, different walks, different uses. So.
Thank you. My one comment, and you don't need to answer this tonight. It's more a comment than a question. These days, with so many people having spent the last year not being able to get out, we're flooded with apps and other methods to bring things to us that, they're new. So I guess I would suggest that we make sure that we're buying from a vendor that we expect to be around a year from now and 2 years from now and whatnot. And again, we don't have to talk about that. That's really your business. It was just more an observation of all that.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, the platform is very user friendly. It is one that is used throughout the graphic design world, and even for laymen like ourselves. I mean, I've been using this platform in my work in other places, and it's very manageable.
Thank you. Other comments, questions?
Just one comment. Thanks, Jen. All this stuff is very cool. And on your, what you gave us tonight, one of your bullet points down at the bottom is restrooms. And that's something that we've kind of talked around a little bit for years and years and years, but I think it's important that the town really look at this issue. At some point, find a place, put something together where we have a restroom in the middle of town. That's going into restaurants and the town hall and everything's for the birds. We really should somehow knuckle down and figure that out.
Yeah.
All kinds of things, but it would be, I mean, most towns you go to, you got a place, so.
Well, I think especially now, I mean, I added that because Mary Beth and I, again, we walked around town and just kind of like went through a whole bunch of things. And I also, in talking with Bill Gopp, like, of course we have the one at the end of Franklin, but it's kind of far out of town. And a lot of people don't even know that that's, allowed to be used. It looks like it's a kind of a construction, it's just for whatever, who's ever there. So Mary Beth and I thought it would be really good to have, especially a handicap accessible bathroom in Lilac Park, but back by the driveway. So it can be serviced, but it's also a little further off. We're already getting people coming in and asking for the restroom, and considering we're going to have a ton, more people than we did last year. And still people like restaurants, and I mean, everyone's being very strict about letting people, even customers, use their bathrooms. So so I'm kind of here on behalf of Bill, and he said, whatever you guys, obviously he said, yeah, we could definitely use another one. Last year we had the town ambassadors, and so this year we don't have them, who kept the bathrooms open and clean and whatever, but we still have the issue where the town hall's not open on Saturday, or someone forgets to unlock the door. So if we send people from the chamber all the way over there and then the door's locked, I feel really badly about that. So that is sort of why that bullet point is on my presentation.
Actually, I was going towards more of a permanent structure.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm just thinking about this year. But I agree with you. I think we should have public bathrooms somewhere in town.
Somewhere in town, yeah.
It would be great if we could use, some of this CARES Act or American Rescue Plan money to build a small shelter with with accessible restrooms. That would be fantastic.
Hmm. But there's always,
And I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. I agree with that. We certainly should add this to our working discussion agenda. It seems like we have this renewed emphasis on walking in Lenox and foot traffic, and we're providing them with suggestions on what there is to see, and yet we really kind of left out, or maybe not left out is the proper phrase, but I feel that we haven't fully addressed restrooms. So the task before us, we have a request. Any more comments on that? Chris, do we need any motions or actions here? How do we administratively handle this request?
I think administratively, we can handle it, but I think I'd be foolish to do so without your consent. And I think I have your consent, but speak up if that's.
I'll stick my neck out and say I support it.
Okay.
I'm on board.
Great.
I support it.
Super.
I support it.
Great, thank you.
Well, you've got all our support.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing. Dave, thank you very much. I fully agree. It's pretty darn nice to go downtown and see a lot of folks, even though our spring has been not always spring-like.
That's true.
But it's great to see folks in the restaurants. It's great to see folks out on sidewalks. It looks like we're returning to some semblance of feeling normal. I don't know if there's a real normal anymore, or maybe there's a new normal. That's for smarter minds than me, but it is nice to see folks.
Yeah, I agree. It's you can feel the energy. Last year this time we just didn't know what was going on, and it was really, the unknown is a little bit scary, but now it feels like, I am raring to go for this summer. It's gonna be a doozy. I mean, if I couldn't believe Boston, how the turnaround, it was packed in Boston over the last year any time that I've gone there, it was a ghost town. So they're coming.
Okay, good work by all. That brings us to liaison reports. I'm sure there are some. I certainly have some, but I'll go last. Who would like to start?
I'll just jump in with DPW. Big news this week is we opened the bids for our water and sewer project in Lenoxdale. Small company named Maximilian, I think, is right in the bidding on that. And but this is going to finalize everything in Lenoxdale. When this gets done, Catherine Street, Patterson, and Lawton. Now we'll have, the whole town has been paved in the last X amount of years, fairly recent, and all the water and sewer lines throughout the town are modern and up to date. So I know it'll be another summer of work down there, but then it's all done. So that's good to get that out of the way. And that should be done this summer, I hope. And that's about all I have, really.
Thank you, Ed.
I'm good for tonight, Neil.
Okay, thanks, David.
Okay. So we were supposed to have a master plan meeting and an approval with the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board, but I understand that's been pushed off a little bit because there have been some final edits to the master plan. What I would like to do though is I will be sending all of you the implementation plan, or the implementation chapter, which is sort of the kickoff of the whole thing. I think you'll find it very helpful in looking at what the plans are within the first, it sort of cuts things down into short, medium, and long range plans for the town. So short range is 1 to 3 years, medium range 3 to 5, long range 5 to 20. It would be great if we could all familiarize ourselves with this, because I think it's going to be a very helpful document moving forward into the next calendar year, with trying to make plans for the town and all the different departments that we're responsible to liaise with, and to help us plan what we do moving forward. I think it's really helpful and instructive in that way. So I'll make sure that you all get that by computer and that you also get a hard copy. Again, that is going to be rescheduled. It was supposed to be for May 10th, but we have the election on May 10th, and so we'll be pushing it off a little bit. Also, I'm going to recommend a discussion between the Affordable Housing Trust, of which I am the chair, the Permanent Building Committee, and the CPC regarding the sawmill property. I'd like it if those three could get together. Currently, the Sawmill Brook property is deeded as a community housing property, and the Affordable Housing Trust did vote earlier last year to release for consideration that property so that the Permanent Building Committee could look at it for the new public safety building. And I think we need to have a discussion around that. I have been in touch with town council specifically as to how that money would revert to the community housing sleeve should it be deeded to other municipal uses. And I think it would be an effective use of our time if we could sit down those three groups and sort of have a discussion about this.
Mary Beth,
Yes.
you want to, are you looking at getting all the committee members together, or just representatives from each committee? It's a lot of people.
Yeah, representatives from each committee would probably be the most useful.
Yeah, there would be, we'd be trying to get 30 people together if we were looking for a complete body.
Correct. Yes. No, absolutely. I mean, I think representatives is probably the way to go. Because this is something that we'll need to discuss and then, bring up for a vote at town meeting, because town meeting would have to decide whether this change would take place.
So you'll coordinate putting this together?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. The library is continuing apace with their evaluation of the repairs that need to be done there. I know that the assessors were in again this week to look at the various structures to try to give us a better sense of the total cost involved. So that's moving forward. And then other than that, we're still working to acquire a couple more properties at the Affordable Housing Trust. We're hoping to have 3 homes available for resale to affordable households that meet income qualifications late this summer. So we're working on that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Warren, did you have anything you want to add before I have a few things, a couple brief ones?
Just one item. Last Saturday, the police chief and fire chief did a great deal to promote the actions and the good works of their officers in a variety of projects and a variety of situations. And I'd like to compliment them. And that's it.
Thank you, Warren. I was going to bring that up if no one else did, and I appreciate that you did. Both Chiefs O'Brien and O'Brien, Chris and Steve, were extremely happy with how the event took place. I thought that we very strongly honored those that needed to be honored. The event was on the 24th. We haven't been together as a body, but there was a great article in the Eagle with good photos for those that are, and CTSB has a recording of the full event available on their website as well. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll very briefly mention that the community center has put programming out there, and folks should be checking in with the community center because it is ongoing and thriving, and with quite a bit of opportunities this summer compared to last. And finally, school very active in making a fair assessment of quite a few candidates, 6 candidates to be exact, for open seats. They held a forum last night, which I viewed the whole forum. They did a very good job in this Zoom era of giving all the candidates time to talk about themselves. And that again is also available on CTSB and will be, as I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, subject to vote on May 10th. So thanks to the school committee for doing that, and another plug for folks to please get out and vote on the 10th.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next meeting is on May 5th. Excuse me, that's not right. I'm just reading what you wrote. I apologize for that.
We're
Go ahead, Chris.
We're in the process of scheduling the next meeting,
Yeah.
which would be a working meeting of the board per your request.
That's dangerous, isn't it? Put something in front of me to read, I read it without. It is not on May 5th, folks. That's it. Ed, do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, everybody, for their time. I truly hope that we are close to finished with the Zoom meetings and we can get in front of each other.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone stay safe. Thanks for attending. And we'll see you at the next meeting.
Yay.
Good night, everybody.
And everyone.
Bye, folks.
Thank you.